You're, again, one of the million people, and nobody gives a fuck about your stupid RS3. Nobody cares. So recently I was asked to talk about stuff that has been going on here in the last couple of months, but actually it's a bit longer than that, but we'll get to that in a second. It was about the posers and idiots thing who are literally, it's getting out of control a bit. So here around the Nurburgring, obviously the Nurburgring attracts many people from all around the world, and which is all fine. And the last couple of months there has been many cases of ridiculousness happening on the public roads around the track. Villages that are literally being tormented by people speeding like crazy. Right? It's really got out of control. We even had a few big accidents on the public roads, which is out of the ordinary. A couple fatal accidents even, where some people died. And it's one of those things where I think, maybe I should talk a bit about this because it has become a big problem actually. Um, we need to go back, I think, about 20 years ago or something like that, where Jeremy Clarkson actually tried to beat 10 minutes in a Jaguar diesel. And then came a follow-up episode where Sabine Schmitz or Sabine Schmitz said, I can do that time in a van. And then she was trying to beat the 10-minute, uh, whatever, lap time in a van. Now, this caused the first influx of people to the Nürburgring from people who were never involved with anything at the Nürburgring. So this is the thing that you always need to, I believe, think about, is how many people do things and how many people get afterwards involved because they see somebody else doing it. That first big influx of people visiting the Nürburgring, and this was mainly people from the UK because that's where Top Gear got broadcasted, and so that's all fine. Um, that kind of leveled out, I suppose, in like 2009, 2010. There was always your couple of months where the Nürburgring became a bit more busier, depending on where the Top Gear episode was broadcasted in the world. But in general, I think it got a big peak just after the Top Gear episodes, and then it flattened out again. Now, this was also a different generation of people. I mean, let's be clear, a 25-year-old today is not the same as a 25-year-old 20 years ago. Huh? Different mentality, different world to grow up in. It's simply a different generation. Now, since COVID, what we have seen here is that there is a change in clientele. I call it clientele, but let's call them visitors. There is a change in visitors at the Nürburgring. In the past, it was more like real car enthusiasts, people who would love cars, love to drive their cars. Most from them were always sensible. There was not really many dickheads. Let's call them as it is. There wasn't really many bad people, let's say, amongst them. People were respectful towards other people. People were respectful towards the local region. Um, Everybody's always driving too fast, myself included. Everybody does this. But there is a place and a time for everything. And if I'm driving through a village where I see that there is definitely people walking on the roads and or next to the roads, I'm not gonna accelerate on speed like a lunatic. But this is what's going on now more recently. In the last 2, 3 years, we saw a big increasement of people who think that that's a cool thing to do. And first of all, it's not a cool thing to do. Nobody cares about your pop and bang map on your Audi RS3 or your Golf R, GTI, M2, whatever. I'll tell it simply as it is. You are absolutely nothing special. You're one out of a million. Nobody cares. The only thing that people look at is what a fucking idiot is that. That's it. There is nobody to impress with pops and bangs or speeding through a village. There is absolutely nobody to impress, apart from maybe yourself and your friends that are sitting with you on the back seat in your whatever car you're driving with pops and bangs. And so that is like, we saw many people like that came here in the last couple of years. And I've experienced it myself, actually, driving home from work, where you'd see people speeding like insane. Now, when I say speeding insane, I'm not talking about 60 where it's 50 or 100 where it's 70 even. No, no, no. I'm talking about close to 200 or maybe over 200. I mean, if you're standing next to a road, or you want to go onto a road where there's a roundabout, and you hear a car accelerating in second gear flat out, and then in third gear flat out, and in fourth gear flat out, and that car is an M4, you know damn well that that car is not doing 120 kilometers an hour. That car is doing close to 200 or over 200 kilometers an hour. And this is on a road where actually 50 at that place is allowed. That shouldn't be like that. That's simply crazy. And I think this region has become a victim of the success of the Nurburgring, where the Nurburgring itself, they're not at fault for this. They cannot, they're not promoting this at all. They're not saying, hey, posers, idiots, please come here, we like you. No, they're not saying this. They're actually against all this. The problem, I think the biggest issue, or the biggest, it's not even an issue, it's more like the common sense of people has gradually declined, I suppose, in the last couple of years. I think that's what COVID mainly did to us. Also, I hear many people, and this is actually the question I got asked by a German YouTuber recently, because he got often comments that, oh, this is the fault of influencers or whoever. And I said, well, you cannot blame an individual for this. Nobody is that powerful. Nobody. Now, of course, one always has to do with another. If you show people that it is cool to drive like a dick on the public road, there is always going to be one or two people who really think that that's fine and that this is the place and the time to do it. Obviously, it's wrong. Now, so yes, influencers or social media personalities do attract this audience. And this is the sad part, actually. Now, it's not their fault. They don't, again, the same as the Nürburgring. They're not saying, hey, look, posers, people who do burnouts, people who are speeding with crazy speeds in villages, come do it. They're not saying this, right? On the same side, they're also not saying not to do it. And this is what is frustrating as well a bit, because if I would have this social media influence, if I would be an influencer with hundreds of thousands of people actively following me, I would probably already mentioned this a long time ago and said, hey, people, I know we are doing this and this and this, but listen, these are news articles there, and there. This cannot be. This is stupid. This is silly. This is definitely what we don't try to. This is not our goal. Yeah, as a community, as a car community, that's not our goal. We don't want people to feel in danger walking simply on in the village. Yeah, we don't want this. So that's kind of it, where we should stop this madness somehow before politics get involved. And it already happened, by the way, because next year in the village of Adana, which is like a small village, well, it's actually a bigger small village next to the Nurburgring, they will now impose a 30-kilometer-an-hour speed limit because, according to politicians, that's what solves all the issues. People who didn't care about 50 kilometers an hour, they will start caring when it's 30 kilometers an hour. Then they will say, okay, oh, 50, I didn't care about this. Let's care when it's 30. No, that's not how it works. People who want to be an ass, they will be an ass. So the sad part is that people who live here all year round, because those asses, they come here for a week and then they're gone, right? We need to live with this on a daily basis. We need to drive 30 kilometers an hour, 365 days per year now. That's a bad solution. And it's not because we need to drive 30. I don't care about driving 30 or 50. It is simply not an actual solution. The question is there actually a solution? I don't know. I'm not a expert in human psychology. First, you need to find what the hell are these people thinking of. The only thing I can say is, and I said it before, if you're one of those people who believes that you're special because you have a pop and bang map and you can do your first and second gear pulls through a village, making unnecessary noise, doing burnouts, drifting on a public road with oncoming traffic, man, you're not cool. You're definitely not special either. You're, again, one of the million people, and nobody gives a fuck about your stupid RS3 or Golf R or M2. Nobody cares.